1, 2, 3, come on!
There was once a rich businessman with a broken beloved car. Despite several attempts, he was unable to fix the engine. He called several engineers, but no one was able to fix it. Finally, there was an old mechanic who visited him. That old guy inspected the engine and asked for a hammer. On front side of the engine, he tapped few times, and broom broom, it started. Next day, the old mechanic sent his invoice for $1,000. The businessman was shocked. He said, this was merely a $1 job. You just tapped the engine a few times. What's there for $1,000 that you're asking for? The old mechanic said, let me give you a detailed invoice. The invoice read, tapping the engine with hammer, $1. Knowing where to hit the hammer, $999. Let's cut to the chase. What if I said 80% of results are produced by 20% efforts? Some of you might call me crazy. Nevertheless, it's true. The 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto Principle, which asserts that 80% of outcomes result from 20% efforts for any given event. In business, the goal of 80-20 rule is to identify inputs that are potentially the most productive and make them the priority. All managers must identify factors that are critical to their company's success, and then they should give those factors the most focus. Although the 80-20 rule is frequently used in business and economics, you can apply the concept to any field, such as wealth distribution, personal finance, spending habits, and even infidelity in personal relationships. To put things in context, I'll give you a few quick examples. Example 1. 80% world GDP is owned by 20% countries. Example 2. 80% of wealth is owned by 20% people in the world as well as in India. Example 3. 80% hit movies every year are delivered by 20% actors. Example 4. 20% Fortune 500 companies make 80% of the total revenue. And I can go on and on and on, and the list will never stop. As I come from hotel industry, now I'll give you two examples of Pareto Principle application in the context of our industry. Example 1 revolves around identifying top 20% hotel units that contribute 80% to your revenue or profit. So step 1 is to rank all the hotel units in your group according to revenue contribution if your reference point is group revenue, or net profit if your reference point is group profit. Step 2, add total revenue or net profit depending upon your reference point of the top 20% hotel units and look at their contribution to revenue or net profit. By doing so, you'll see that 20% hotels contribute 80% to the revenue or net profit. These are your 20% units where you should put your top 20% performers across levels. This is important because if the performance of one of these 20% units slips, you will have major impact on overall revenue and profits. And you wouldn't want that, right? Example 2 is of individual hotel unit. The people who work in the hotel industry would know that almost 100% guests have breakfast included in their room package, and 90% guests staying with you ensure to eat breakfast in the hotel restaurant or coffee shop. This is where it gets super interesting. As restaurant manager, F&B manager, or general manager of hotel, you have the opportunity to meet almost all of your guests. This is where you should put all your efforts to meet and interact with the guests. Because number 1, this is where you have the opportunity to build strong rapport and relationship with most of your guests, who would then go on to leave rave reviews as well as spread word of mouth about your hotel. The industry average of guest feedback is 5%, and if your feedback number is below industry average, then it's time for you to look into your team's interactions and efforts at breakfast buffet. Number 2, this is where you can do a quick pulse check with your guests to ensure everything is working fine. This proactive approach will help you to address 90% of issues before they flare up and turn into big problems. Sometimes 80-20 rule is misinterpreted. The misunderstanding could be the result of logical fallacy, namely that if 20% of inputs are most important, then the other 80% must not be important. That's not how it works. While it's important to focus on the 20%, it's equally important not to ignore the other 80%. So if you would like to create impact in your hotel, find out where to hit the hammer. I hope this video was useful. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more interesting videos on corporate culture. Also, hit on the bell icon for notifications. Signing off, your host and host, Venkatesh Sangsani. Take care.